Done so much already in your career. What was it about Gordon's script and this character that resonated with you?
I was immediately just floored when I read his script. I felt the layers that he gives to Lily were something that I don't see in a lot of scripts, and something that
Mhm.
just I feel very passionately about. I feel very passionately about having showing characters who are multifaceted and who have layers and are real people, have anger and regret and sadness and joy and setbacks and wins. And I just thought that Lily was a really well drawn out character, and I wanted to have the opportunity to play a character like that. And on top of it, I mean, the medieval imagery and
Mhm.
the
The
it's
forest.
such a yeah, it's such a cool concept.
Yeah.
And I loved the metaphor, and I loved how far you could take the metaphor too, because it was just so well thought out and well put together.
Mhm. It's established very early on that your character has suffered a lot of grief and trauma in her life, and she has such a compelling emotional journey, like you were just saying throughout, which you brought so much depth and nuance to. As an actress, how did you find your way into this character?
Um, I had done I did a lot of research. I did a lot of research on trauma, on
Mhm.
grief. I love reading psychology textbooks. That's kind of dorky, but I I loved my psychology classes in college, and that was something that I wanted to make. I wanted to make her a fighter,
Mhm.
because I believe that there's a lot we see on the exterior about grief and about trauma that is just sad, or you feel like someone's not reaching their full potential, and you're disappointed. And I wanted to make sure that it came through how much of a warrior she is in every
Mhm.
phase of this process, of every step of her journey to confronting her demons and trying to reconcile with her past and with herself. And um I think we've all, for myself personally, there's been plenty of struggle, plenty of setbacks, plenty of for everybody in the world, really. Everybody who's gone through the past several years, I think.
Mhm.
uh the way that we've all kind of collectively felt grief, I took a lot from from myself and from people I knew too, and how I saw them navigate struggles, and how I
Mhm.
navigated mine myself.
Beautifully said. Part of that journey is reconnecting with her father and that complex past that they both have. What was it like getting to collaborate with Michael to bring that dynamic from resentment to redemption to life on the screen?
It was really fun. Michael is such a character, and he's so fun to work with. Like, he's always bringing new stuff to the table. I loved the journey and my character breakdown that I made for myself for Lily before we started shooting. I drew out the different phases of her relationship with her father,
Hmm.
and there's so much context that she has with her dad that we don't see. Um, Her whole childhood, we don't see that relationship until she's older, and I think it can seem like she's really prickly. And even the scene where she's like, I feel like such a bitch, I just said all these mean things to my dad. And I love that we gave Lily the opportunity to be human and have anger and have it justified, and at the
Hmm.
same time see her want to make that relationship better, but struggle. It takes two, and needing him to get on board with her, and needing to see him show up for her, and needing to see him support her.
Yeah.
It was great to watch the evolution of that relationship
Hmm.
and to see um, that growth and the the clumsy, uneven way that they find the road to healing that relationship.
To your point, it's really compelling to watch at the end when they're holding space for one another. And you know, you're speaking of being a fighter, you also got to do a bit of sword training for this film. How helpful is having that preparation and that physicality as you stepped into this character's shoes?
It was huge. Um, I was lucky enough to have the opportunity to do broadsword training before the before we started filming, and I had taken fencing lessons as well. And obviously, a huge part of acting is the physicality, is movement,
Mm,
and how does this character hold her body? How does she move in her body? What is, um, what where does she hold tension? And it was extremely helpful to have all these lessons because there's a particular way that you hold your torso, a particular way that you're supposed to hold the sword. And I'm a ballet dancer, or I have done ballet for from a good chunk of my life, and I think it helped a lot to have that background of movement because the sword fighting is kind of like dancing, it's choreography.
hmm.
And it was really cool to get to um, yeah, to know how to hold your body, how to it helped me develop the muscles I needed for that particular type of movement, which obviously we're not doing in our daily lives. um, it was really cool and a challenge, but one I was excited to take on.
Hmm. You know, and then Gordon wrote and directed this project. How different is that filming experience when the person who's created these characters and this universe is also at the helm directing? How did the trust that he fostered allow you to take agency over Lily's arc throughout the film?
That's a great question. Um, I loved. It was really great that we had all of the. This is all like coming from his head, like you said. This is
Hmm.
the world he created and the story he created, and he's been a part of the process the whole way through, and that um, you know there are fewer cooks in the kitchen, and that's a good thing in my mind. I think the vision gets muddied when there are too many cooks in the kitchen. And Gordon was so wonderful about collaborating. He was so wonderful just one on one. We were the two people who had the vision for Lily's character, and like
Hmm.
I can talk directly with him. There was always an open line of communication. He always listened to my thoughts and trusted me. And that's huge. You don't always get that from a director. You don't always get that trust and that opportunity to make it to marry the visions. And
Hmm.
it was it was great to we really started off on a very similar page too. Before they cast me, we had a discussion about the script, and
Mm.
I think one of the reasons that he felt comfortable was that our vision was very similar right off the bat. I think we both felt that we knew who Lily was.
Yeah.
And so it all, any little collaboration was always like very natural.
And then we get incredible performances like the one that you delivered in this film. I couldn't imagine other actors playing this role. And that actually might be the answer to this next question. But you've also worked on projects of all sizes. What is it about independent filmmaking that excites you as a storyteller and an artist?
I love indie film, you know? Um, if if it if it weren't for having to pay bills, you know? No, I do love like the diversity of projects I've gotten to work on, and I think
Yeah.
that's a huge gift because not everybody gets that. And I'm really lucky to have the opportunity to get to do many things, but I love indie movies. I love it, love it, love it. And that's where I come from. I grew up doing indie movies. I grew up doing these passion projects. And what I love about it is everybody really wants to be there. Everybody cares so much about the story. Um, that's it's such a wonderful, supportive environment to be in as the actor too, because you know that everyone is fully invested in the vision and in making it the best it can be, and um, that that passion made all the difference, I think, for me.
Hmm. This is going to be a strange question, but I think throughout your career, you've also done such a great job jumping back and forth between television and film. And in film, you know where your character starts and ends. And in television, you're learning more of each episode. How different is that
Yeah,
character development process for you as the actor playing these characters? And how have these different mediums kind of lend themselves to one another?
I think it's really cool to explore the different journeys that you take with your
Hmm.
character um, in TV. Like you might have a general sense of where the character's storyline is going in the season, um, but there will always be little surprises. There will always be little things that you're like, oh, okay. Um, so she has this hobby. Who knew? That wasn't a part of something I had put in the canon previously, like in my mind. But there's you spend so much time with the character
Hmm.
in TV that it's the same as life, kind of. I've
Yeah.
I've also surprised myself. I've also done things that I was like, wait a minute, that's not. I'm not that type of person. And then you're like, no, you are actually. Or oh wow, you can do that thing that you said you never could do. Um, so in that way, it almost mimics life
Hmm.
in a way that I think film, as an actor, you see, like you said, you see the beginning and middle and end of their journey. You know where they're going, you know the ending. That's not how we experience life as humans, but there's a catharsis there. And I think that's the that's the fantasy, that's the outlet, that's the creative outlet of like, yes, but and it's why we watch movies to
Hmm.
escape. Like, yeah, but what if? What if I could know? What if I could craft my journey? Like, what if I could create this beautiful story for myself that I look back on it and I think that's so cathartic, that's so beautiful.
Mm.
Um, I think that's like what's cool about film is getting to live out kind of that fantasy of the human experience and
Yeah.
maybe what we wish it could be.